It was afternoon. Arrangements were being made to worship Shiva in the evening. Leaves of the bale tree were gathered for the worship. Bale wood was chopped for the homa. In the evening, Shoshi, who was in charge of the worship at the monastery, burnt incense before the pictures of the various gods and goddesses. The worship of Shiva was to take place under the bale tree in the monastery compound. The deity was to be worshipped 4 times during the 4 watches of the night. The brothers assembled under the bale tree. Bhupati and M were present also. One of the young members of the mott was in charge of the worship. Kali was reading from the Gita. Now and then he argued with Narendra. Kali: I alone am everything. I create, preserve, and destroy. Narendra: how is it possible for me to create? Another power creates through me. Our various actions, even our thoughts, are caused by that power. M. To himself: the master used to say, as long as a man feels that it is he who meditates, he is under the jurisdiction of the Adda Shukti. Shukti must be acknowledged. Kali reflected in silence a few moments and then said, the actions you are talking about are illusory. There is not even any such thing as thought. The very idea of these things makes me laugh. Narendra: the I that is implied in I am he is not this ego. It is that which remains after one eliminates mind, body, and so on. After completing the recital of the Gita, Kali chanted, Shantihi, Shantihi, Shantihi. Narendra and the other devotees stood up and circled round and round the tree, singing and dancing. Now and then they chanted in chorus, Shiva Guru, Shiva Guru. It was midnight, the 14th day of the dark fortnight of the moon. Pitch darkness filled all the quarters. Men, birds, and animals were all hushed into silence. The young Shunnashis were clad in Gerua robes. The words Shiva Guru, chanted in their full-throated voices, rose into the infinite sky like the rumblings of rain clouds and disappeared in the indivisible Satchidananda. The worship was over. The sun, about to rise, was painting the eastern horizon crimson. In this sacred twilight, the conjunction of night and day, the holy Brahma Muhurta, the young worshippers finished their baths in the Ganges. It was morning. The devotees went to the shrine room, prostrated themselves before the deity, and gradually assembled in the big hall. Narendra was clad in a new ochre cloth. The bright orange color of his apparel blended with the celestial luster of his face and body, every pore of which radiated a divine light. His countenance was filled with fiery brilliance, and yet touched with the tenderness of love. He appeared to all as a bubble that had risen up in the ocean of absolute existence and bliss, and assumed a human body to help in the propagation of his master's message. All eyes were fixed on him. Narendra was then just 24 years old, the very age at which the great Chaitanya had renounced the world. Balaram had sent fruit and sweets to the monastery for the devotees' breakfast. Rakhal, Narendra, and a few others partook of the refreshments. After eating one or two morsels, some of them cried out, "Blessed indeed is Balaram!" All laughed. Narendra now began to joke like a child. He was imitating Sri Ramakrishna. He put a sweet into his mouth and stood still, as if in samadhi. His eyes remained unwinking. A devotee stepped forward and pretended to hold him up by the hand, lest he should drop to the ground. Narendra closed his eyes. A few minutes later, with the sweetmeat still in his mouth, he opened his eyes and drawled out, "I am all right." All laughed loudly. Refreshments were now given to everyone. M looked on at this wonderful mart of happiness. The devotees shouted joyfully, "Joy Guru Maharaj!" Footnote: Victory to the Guru. Footnote ends.